What is going on, everybody? Jonathan here with Gig Nation, and today we're going to be looking at AB5, a new piece of legislation that could make Lyft drivers, Uber drivers, and DoorDash couriers full-time employees. So let me first provide a quick background on this law. It's coming up in California, and it's already passed the state assembly, and if it continues to pass Senate, it will become a law in California. Now, this is important because California often sets the precedent for laws that kind of move to go nationwide. So this could potentially become something that affects a lot other states down the road if it, gains some ground in California for starters. So the law is based on a very simple ABC test that is used to define employees as either independent contractors or full-time employees. So a gig worker would have to pass the following A, B, and C criteria in order to be categorized as an independent contractor. A being that they are free from control and direction of the hiring entity. B being that they perform work outside of the usual work of the hiring entity's business. And C being that they must usually be engaged in an independent work that is similar to or of the same nature of the work that they're doing for the hiring entity. So to put this in even more simple terms, what it means is that Lyft drivers, Uber drivers, DoorDash couriers, GrubHub couriers, all of the likes would become full-time employees. And that means that those companies would have to offer health insurance, social security, unemployment insurance, a minimum wage, and the right to form a union. This is definitely something that is great for drivers and bad for the companies in the gig economy. A lot of rideshare drivers, mainly a lot of Uber drivers, are really pressing for this law and protesting in favor of it. But Uber, on the other hand, is actually organizing a lot of protesters to try and protest against the law. And they've been doing a lot to incentivize their drivers to try and show up to these protests by offering free food and raffle tickets. And believe it or not, there are actually a decent amount of people that showed up protesting in favor of Uber against AB5. It wasn't huge numbers, but probably like a couple hundred people that showed up to this protest. Whether or not this was because of the incentives that Uber offered, or maybe they actually do believe in the Uber platform. It is possible that there are drivers out there that enjoy using this from time to time to make a little bit of extra cash here and there and don't want to do it as a full-time thing. And in that sense, it really is potentially useful to some people who aren't looking for that full-time income. But the thing is that the people who are just doing this as a side hustle for a little bit of side cash usually aren't the passionate ones that really are going to show up in force and protest, because they don't tend to need the money as much as people who are looking for full-time income here. The movement that has been led by drivers, on the other hand, in favor of AB5 is growing much more quickly and much faster. And that's because rideshare companies, the gig economy, food delivery companies have actually replaced a lot of full-time positions, a lot of jobs that in the past were full-time, with independent contractor status that at one point was favorable for drivers. I mean, there were decent wages in the beginning. You could make a good amount of money driving for Uber, delivering for DoorDash, but consistent wage cuts have kind of bumped that down low enough that it doesn't actually make sense for a lot of people, and they can no longer make a living for themselves with these jobs. So here are my thoughts. This could actually upend the gig economy. A lot of these companies like Lyft, Uber, DoorDash are now public companies, and they're struggling to make a profit. And they've been cutting wages to try and become more profitable, but still haven't gotten there yet. So a pay structure that requires full-time employees is going to make them vastly more unprofitable. Now, what we could see happening is companies like this pushing even faster, applying more pressure towards automation, towards replacing drivers with automated vehicles and finding other methods to kind of fulfill deliveries and fulfill rides at a cheap price. Now, we know that companies have been pushing to do this for a while, but it's really tough to get past legislation and to push this sort of technology, nationwide, when a lot of people are worried about the safety. But, new legislation such as AB5 could actually cause these companies to kind of push even faster towards that automation. Now, hopefully that's not what happens. Hopefully, if we do see AB5 gain ground in California and move to other states throughout the nation, we actually see more sustainable business models taking place where companies are providing a good service, but also providing fair, livable wages, potentially full-time wages to their employees. Let me know what you think about AB5, if you think it's going to gain ground, going to pass, and whether or not it's a good thing. Leave a comment down below because I'd love to hear your opinion.